Let me tell you something that most folks don't talk about, something older than the sands of time, buried deep in whispers and shadows. A story so dark, so twisted, it don't sound like it should be real, but it is. They call him the false messiah, the deceiver. And this is his story. Now close your eyes for a second, picture a world trembling in silence. A dry, forgotten island in the middle of nowhere. Waves crash against its jagged shores like time itself trying to erase it. But it don't, because something is locked away there. Something that ain't supposed to ever be seen. A man, or what looks like a man, chained, not just with iron, but with fate. Hair wild, eyes like burning coals, one eye swollen and blind, the other piercing through your soul. You see him and your spirit knows. This ain't just flesh and blood. This is something else. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once told his companions about a sailor who ended up on that cursed island. Now this wasn't no bedtime story, nah. This was the kind that makes the strongest men sit still. That sailor, he found himself facing a beast, a creature called Vial Jassasar, all fur and confusion, who told him, go to the monastery. And when he did, Lord of Mercy, he met him. Dajjal. And Dajjal asked questions, not threats, not screams, just questions about the prophet, about the lands, about the signs. He listened and he knew. He was waiting, the watching. And when that sailor came back and told the tale, the prophet didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He told his people, this is no lie. See, you see, Dajjal ain't just a man trying to fool people. He's a storm wrapped in skin. He's deception walking. When he comes, he don't come with chains no more. He comes with her as miraculous. Rain falls where he points. Crops grow in the blink of an eye. The poor, the hungry, the desperate, they'll follow him like moths to a flame, calling him God. And he'll laugh. Oh, he'll laugh. Because that's what he wants. Not your body, not your gold. He wants your belief. He wants your wor's soul. But the ones who know, the ones who were warned, they'll see the word kafir, disbeliever, carved right between his eyes, burning like fire to the faithful, invisible to the lost. His power, though great, got limits. He can't enter Mecca, can't step into Medina. The angels themselves guard those gates. But outside, outside, the world's going to be a stage for his performance. People ask, why would God let this happen? But that's the thing this whole life, it's a test. Dajjal is the question, and we are the answer. There'll be chaos. Fear, he'll have a heaven that's really hell, and a hell that looks like paradise. Folks will have to choose without seeing the whole picture. That's the game he plays, that's his art. But every darkness meets its end. The real Messiah, Jesus, peace be upon him, he returns. Not to bring a new message, not to rewrite the truth, but to finish what was started. To break the cross. To tell the world that the game is over. And in a place called Lud, east of where the sun sets heavy over the land, he finds Dajjal. And with one strike, one breath, it ends. The deceiver falls. His lies unravel like dust in the wind. And the world, it breathes again. But the scars remain. The memory of how close we came. So the story of Dajjal ain't just a tale, it's a warning, a whisper from the past, echoing into the future, telling us to stay awake, stay true, and never forget, not every miracle is divine, and not every light comes from heaven. But even after Dajjal fell, after his blood touched the earth and his spell shattered like glass in the wind, the world didn't just snap back to light. No, see, evil like that don't just vanish. It stains. It seeps. It lingers like smoke in a room with no windows. You can't see it, but you breathe it. The skies, they stayed grey for days. Not because of clouds, but because of our weight of what had happened hung above the world like a shroud. People walked the streets, not cheering, not dancing, but whispering, looking over their shoulders, wondering if it was really over, if the deceiver had truly gone, or if he'd just taken off another mask. And here's the thing. Dajjal didn't just trick people. He changed them. His words were poisoned with honey on the tongue. His miracles, seductive illusions that made truth feel like a distant memory. Folks that once held the faith strong in their chests, they bent their knees to him. They drank from his false rivers, slept under the illusion of peace, while their souls slowly died. Some never came back. Even after the Messiah, Isa, peace be upon him, stood among them, walking like a light through the ashes of war, healing the broken. Some folks still miss a Dajjal. That's how deep he got in their hearts. That's the danger of a lie when it feels better than the truth. And it wasn't just the people. The land it remembered too. Whole cities lay empty. Not because of battle, not because of fire, but because the people had turned their backs on truth so long. It had left them. Nature pulled away like a tide receding from a cursed shore. Trees that once bore fruit stood naked. Rivers ran dry, even while the skies wept rain. The soil refused to bloom, as if the world itself was in mourning. And Isa, he walked among it all, not as a king, not as a warrior, but as a shepherd, gathering the scattered pieces of what humanity used to be. He didn't shout. He didn't punish. He collared. A soft, clear voice that reached the hearts still cracked open enough to hear. But that peace, that fragile quiet, it was just the eye of the storm, because even as Dajjal fell, and his body rotted like a broken shell, the idea of him stayed alive. See, some people, they didn't worship him out of confusion. They knew he was false and followed him anyway. Why? Because he gave them power, he gave them permission to hate, to lie, to take what wasn't theirs. He was the mirror they always wanted, one that showed their darkness not as sin, but as strength. And after he was gone, they misseed that mirror. So they started gathering again, not under one name, not in one place, but in shadows, in ruins, in whispers passed from father to son, mother to daughter. The Dajjalites, they called themselves, a seed born from the ash of the deceiver, still watering the roots of everything he promised. And Isa, he knew, he saw them. Not with eyes, but with something deeper. Every time he looked across a crowd and saw one set of eyes, too still, too calm, too of cold, he knew the war wasn't over. He taught, he rebuilt, he led with mercy. But the wound in the world still bled slow. And then came the beast. No one knew where it came from. One day, the skies cracked like thunder without a storm. The earth trembled beneath every step. And there it stood, a creature unlike anything ever seen. Half of it like a blazing fire, the other like frozen death. Its voice wasn't a sound. It was a vibration, rumbling in the chest, shaking the bones. It didn't speak in language. Its hey etched meaning into the air. It walked among people, not to kill, not to destroy, but to mark. It would touch a person's face, and instantly their truth would be known. Believer, disbeliever. There was no hiding, no lying, no pretending. The beast made every soul visible, and once marked, there was no changing it. And that shook the world. Because now all the masks fell, all the illusions died. People saw their neighbors, their families, their leaders for who they truly were. Some broke down in tears, finally free from the act. Others turned bitter, angry, violent, because you take away a man's lies, and all he has left is the truth. And not everybody can survive that. The world split again. Not in blood this time, but in spirit. Those marked with faith tried to hold together, rebuild, heal. But those who bore the mark of disbelief, some accepted it, tried to change. Others sank deeper. They blamed the beast. They blamed Isa. They blamed God. And from that bitterness another fire lit. A rebellion not of weapons, but of Ez's will. A final push against everything sacred, against every word ever revealed, against the very truth that marked them. But Isa, he knew his time was ending. He'd done what he came for. So one morning, without warning, he disappeared into the mist. No grave, no farewell. Just gone. Some say he rose to the heavens once more. Others say he still walks unseen, but either way the light dimmed when he left. And in that dimness, the last hour began to breathe. You could feel it in the air, like the sky was holding its breath. Children born with eyes too wise for their age. Old men waking in the middle of the night, crying without knowing why. Birds flying in patterns that made no sense. Animals restless, mountains rumbling in their sleep. Then came the smoke. It started as a distant haze, barely noticeable. But day by day, it crept across the earth like a veil, black, thick, not choking like fire smoke, but heavy, like guilt, like sorrow. It didn't burn lungs, it burned souls. And those who breathed it in, they changed. Some wept endlessly. Some laughed like madmen. Some just stood still, eyes open, seeing things no one else could see. And through that smoke came silencer. No birds, no wind, no joy, just silence. Like the world itself was counting down. And still, people tried to live, to hope, to hold on to the last strands of normal. But the signs kept coming. The sun, it rose from the west. The stars, they fell like tears from the sky. The Quran, no longer recited, but lifted from the hearts of men, like ink vanishing from an old page. And the last believers, they felt it, that soft, aching pull in their chest. A call, not loud, not urgent, just steady, calling them to one place. And they went. In the dead of night, under skies lit by falling stars, they walked. Men, women, children, no fear, no hesitation. They knew. Their time had come. And in a single moment, a wind came, cool, gentle, but final. And just like that, the last candle of faith flickered out. Not in pain, not in fear, but in peace. And then nothing, what remained, a world hollowed out, inhabited not by believers or seekers, but by the worst of what mankind had to offer. The liars, the killers, the proud and the cruel, the ones who laughed at truth and mocked mercy, and they ruled what was left like kings of ash until the earth, finally, had enough. Mountains crumbled, oceans boiled, the sky split like fabric torn by divine hands, and from the heavens came the sound, a trumpet, not made of brass or bone, but of judgment. The first blow shattered time itself. The dead stirred in their graves. The stars blinked out. And the second, that one, it ended everything. And in the pause that followed, every soul that ever lived stood bare before the throne of the Almighty. No excuses, no escape, no deception left. Only truth. And the deceiver, Dajjal, his legacy was there too. Not in form, not in voice, but in every heart that chose illusion over truth. He lived on in those who let him in. And they stood before their Creator, not as victims, but as willing followers of the lie. That was the final price of following false light. Because in the end, every soul meets its truth. And truth, it don't blink, it don't forget, it just is.